as you can see, this spotted bass, the jaw doesn't come back past the eye. And the largemouth, if you look, his jaw will come back past his eye right here.
Last week we told you we would see big spotted bass today, and Mark Kyle, Danny Correa, they're helping us keep that promise.
If you don't see those things, feel the tongue. There's a little bit of sandpaper like on the tongue. If you tied these two fish tail to tail, this spot will drown that largemouth.
It's the Citgo Bassmaster Tour presented by Busch Beer, second event of the season. And here we are at Smith Lake in north central Alabama, part of the Warrior River system, and definitely a canyon lake. Hilly, mountainous country, deep in some places, over 260 feet in spots. And spots are another big attraction here, spotted bass. And they got them in big sizes and plenty of them on Smith Lake.
You like spotted bass fishing?
I love spotted bass.
You like rain?
I like rain too, but not this much.
Oh, we had the rain. The guys really had a lot of adjustment to do all week long because of the weather. I tell you what, first day of qualifying, it must have rained at least 1.5 inches, 2 inches during the actual weigh-in, probably 7 or 8 inches during the day. Of course, what happens then is the creeks start rising. Actually, those little falls start, and they turn into little streams, and the little streams run into the rivers, and before you know it, we've got a flood on our hands. The second day, it wasn't much better than that. Then it started getting cold on top of all of that. So the guys really had their problems throughout the week. Now look at this mud line right here, Tommy, and you can see why on the first day, Greg Hackney and Rick Clunn had great stringers of fish fishing way back in the creeks. That mud line wiped them out. It killed a lot of the anglers, but somebody's going to figure them out.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is presented by Busch.
We're going to pick up the action with day number 3, which dawns with the promise of some snow showers, so it's not going to be your typical bass fishing day. Here's a new face on the block, Charlie Weir from California.
Well, Charlie Weir is fishing up Rock Creek. He's fishing about 40 feet deep with a little finesse worm. He's been very consistent, actually. Was in 9th place the first day, 2nd place going into this day.
Yeah.
Charlie Weir from West Hills, California, just about 5 or 6 miles up north of Hollywood.
Hey, Tommy, aren't the guys that make the finals supposed to be from small towns in Tennessee and Georgia, Alabama maybe? Not Hollywood. Come on, what's that? He's done a good job, boy. He's showing us all something.
Has done well, of course, doing the Western Opens, and Lake Oroville's one of his favorite places to fish, and that is a spotted bass place. That's his fishing partner there, Rex Chambers, who's the outdoor writer for the Cullman, Alabama newspaper.
Don't come off, baby. Be calm. Calm down. Don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. Get your hands on him. You got him?
No.
Oh.
Keep going.
Okay, he's okay. Right there, right there. Woo! Oh, they're here, dude. Look at that one. That's a hog.
Good catch.
Woo! Yeah. 2.5 pounder, 2 3/4. I'm going to the big show.
Well, obviously, Charlie Weir thinks he's got a good shot at making it into the final 6. Working to get there is this man, a local favorite, Gerald Swindle, and his amateur partner is Red Berry.
And I mentioned earlier that a lot of guys fishing up the river just got flooded out. That muddy water just did them in. I think Gerald may have been one of them, but he's versatile enough that he immediately comes back down the lakes, starts fishing in the deep water for the spots, and yesterday just caught one heck of a string of fish and seems to be on his way again here today, Tommy.
Bassmasters have not had a tournament here since, well, before Gerald Swindle was born. That one back in 1968 was won by Bill Dance.
I lost you. There you are. Oh, get down, get down, get down. No. He's got it good. He's got it good. Just get him, Ray. Bring it to him.
That's not your run-of-the-mill spotted bass. Gerald has caught him one that is really going to help.
Woo! We've had a crappy morning. Ah! How about it?
That's my man right there.
Dude, I must trust the view of the world, because I never asked nobody to get my fish. I was stinking cold. I was like, man, I can't move. You ain't got to measure that in the house. Ah!
Looking good for Swindle. I tell you what, come what may, it's always fun to watch Gerald Swindle in action.
Maybe my favorite guy to watch on camera. But I'm kind of looking forward to finding out more about the place that Charlie's fishing here. The actual little spot seems to be very interesting.
Get it in the boat. Got him, partner. Oh my God, look at the size of that one. Oh, woo!
Smith Lake spots.
Unbelievable. That's a good one right there. That just made me the top 6 cut right there.
Well, the first 2 days are all about making it to the top 12 so you can fish on. Today, you've got to find a way to make it into the top 6. The top 4 anglers coming into day 3 were able to scratch out a few and stayed in the game. Edwin Evers had a great day, jumped all the way to 2nd place, and Gerald Swindle, who rocketed from 67th on day 1 to 8th on day 2, is now just a couple of pounds out of the lead and fishing the final.
Ain't this some God blessed good time and love to fish? Let's go get a big box load of chickens and stomp on them fun right here.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo. And in part by Bush. By Purelator. And by Triton Boats.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tour. Today we're in Smith Lake in north central Alabama. The final day, the championship day, and we are down to 6 anglers. Our field is set. They include this man, Charlie Weir, leading the way. The man from just down the freeway from Hollywood in West Hills, California. Edwin Evers in 2nd place after 3 days. The talented young man, former winner last year on the tour from Oklahoma. And Mark Tucker, the journeyman from St. Louis, is in 3rd place. Lee Bailey Jr. and Rick Morris, well, they've got 3 steps to their game plan.
The water that's been coming in is actually warmer than the lake water, so it should draw some of them largemouth into the back of a few of them pockets, and that's what I'm banking on, that I can run up there and catch 2 or 3 really good fish. I've got one area down here that I caught that big crankbait fish yesterday, and I'm going to stop in that area and I'm going to fish some of them points first, and then I'm going to make the run. I want to let the sun get up a little bit too. If that doesn't work, then I'm running back down this lake all the way back down near here to the clear water, and I'm going to get out that little jig and worm, and I'm going to start fishing 30, 40 foot of water and hope I can just, bang into a couple fish.
We're going to fish real slow, real thorough, maybe 4 or 5 spots. Throw some jigs, throw some RPM finesse baits. We're going to let this sun warm it up a little bit. And we're going to hit the banks with a crankbait. Late in the day, we're going to go to back of 3 pockets, look for a couple largemouth spots. That's the 3 deals for the day. We're going to spend 2 to 3 hours on each one. It's 3 totally different patterns. Hopefully I got it figured out. We'll see.
Yes, we will see. And as you survey the scoreboard, one angler, Gerald Swindle, has not been heard from. We were wondering if the home field advantage is maybe making him a little nervous.
There ain't no need to get nervous. It's just fishing. I mean, the way I look at it, if it's my time, it's my time. And ain't nothing I can do to stop it, prevent it. So there's no need to get all geeked out and start going, oh, I got to do this. What I got to do is just stay cool and just fish. Do my deal, man. Do your thing, do your thing. To all your thug thizzles up in the hood, do your thing. If they bite, they bite. If they don't, they don't.
Well, what do you say we get this thing kicked off? Edwin Evers is fishing 20 minutes from the takeoff point. He's up Ryan Creek. He goes underneath 222 Bridge. He's actually fishing just below Miller Flat, not too very far. And boy, Edwin is a crankbait fisherman, loves to throw that wiggle wart, and that's what he's doing right here. Tommy, you said that he was very versatile a little earlier. Over the past several years, he's been about as consistent angler as we've had on the tour.
Well, he's had 55 entries in tournaments over the past few years, and he's been in the money 34 times. That's a pretty good, solid record right there.
And as I said, that crankbait is what he does, so he's in 7th heaven here.
Man, they're so hard to catch, you got to get excited. That's a largemouth, I think, yeah. It's the first largemouth I've caught all week that's a keeper. And then, Man, you need to be excited at home because we're having a tough time catching 16 inchers, and there's a 16 incher right there. And I'm just excited as can be.
16 inches, that's a number you need to remember as we watch this final day action here. All week long, that has been the limit. You can't take a fish in any less than 16 inches, and that makes it hard to get a limit on Smith Lake this week.
And I tell you what, it's a little heartbreaking, Tommy, because a 15-inch spot can weigh 2 pounds. And that's tough to turn a 2-pounder loose. And Edwin's one of my favorite guys, but I got a bone to pick with him right here. I think that's a spotted bass and not a largemouth like he was saying.
Over to Mark Tucker from St. Louis, Missouri. Has a lot of experiences in places like Table Rock, where we'll be later this season. A lot of those Ozark lakes, you can learn how to catch the spots there, too.
Hey, if you're looking at him fish right here, you could say he's on Bull Shoals Lake, he's on Table Rock, Norfolk Lake, all those Ozark lakes.
Sure.
Yeah, and no one would dispute what you're saying. So, Mark might have a little bit of an advantage here in that he's kind of accustomed to this kind of fishing. Now, he's fishing with a heavy jig, and he's throwing it into probably 15 feet of water and trying to just work it real slow down those bluff edges. And obviously he has to have a real fine touch and know when these fish have swooped in there and picked up that jig.
Makes me feel a whole lot better. Got some fish smell on my hands now.
Sinking so deep. It's very, very deep here, man. Very deep, at least 35. And you shake the little worm like that, you just barely shake the little worm. Just keep shaking the little worm. Shake the little worm. Shake the little worm.
There's a guy that needs his own TV series. It doesn't even have to be about fishing.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, all that information was coming from the man who earlier said the water was coming up so fast that you could see under it.
Giving up on me.
Go ahead and figure that one out, Tommy.
I think I got a handle on it, but I'm not quite there yet.
Boy, he's fishing deep, though, as he was saying right there. He is really fishing deep. And again, like Mark Tucker, you better feel what's going on.
The spots are going by today, son. Fished one dock, I've had 2 bites. Took me 3 hours to get that many bites yesterday. And that's about 30 foot in there, 31.
Well, certainly not a picnic today for Gerald Swindle, but look at us. Look how smart we are. We actually have the guy on the set who is Gerald Swindle's roommate. Marty Stone is here, but of course, the real reason we have Marty here is his great championship last week on the Harris chain. Congrats to you, Marty.
Thanks, man. Greatly appreciate it, and I have to admit, I'm guilty by association.
We'll talk a little bit about that later on. That last day at Harris chain, you put on such a fabulous show for us. You showed us everything you were doing, spoke so well about it, and you had to fish through a few showers there, but it wasn't that.
Oh, no, it was a picnic compared to what we walked into.
Oh, man, what these guys are going. Let's run through the menu of weather we've seen this week at Smith Lake. Day number 1, 55 to 60 degrees, but the wind howling 30 miles an hour, and then the bottom falls out, 3 to 4 inches of rain. Day number 2, another ½ inch of rain. The temperatures go down to 30 degrees. Day number 3, snow flurries for your bass fishing there, and also the temperature continues to fall today. We start in the teens. How do you put up with that? How do you adjust?
You don't. You just hope to survive, and let's throw in there the fact that the lake come up 8, 9 foot overnight going into the second round. Cold, muddy water, unbelievable conditions.
Changing conditions. And what's more in demand in a situation like that, mental toughness or physical toughness?
Without a doubt, you got to be mentally tough. You got to just want to go fishing on a day like that.
Well, we'll have more of it when we come back. More, of course, with Marty Stone. We'll also have a conversation with Edwin Evers, and we'll take a look at Mark Tucker's jig way down there underwater. Don't go away. The Citgo Bassmaster Tour, Smith Lake in Alabama. Obviously a beautiful place, but looks can be deceiving today. It is most uncomfortable. Very, very cold. As we pick it up with Mark Tucker, a Missourian, one of those beautiful spots. Mark left the launch ramp, ran about 20 minutes up Rock Creek to the place basically where White Oak and Crooked Creek come together. The Triple Creek area is what this place is known as. And Marty Stone, you call that, what do you call that right there?
Call that a good old Alabama run-in, just where all the water on the mountain has nowhere to go. And when it finally finds a place, it lets loose.
Why is Mark Tucker fishing close to one of these?
You know, the neat thing about that second night when we had all that big rain, it was a warm rain. So finally we're warming up that cold water, and these fish can feel that, and they'll migrate to that area. They know just through experience to, hey, head that way.
Give us the lay of the land under there as Mark tries to land what looks like a pretty good fish here. What's happening underwater there? How close to that run into those fish holding?
You know, they'll get right up there in it. I mean, they'll literally get in the current. They're not only up there for the warm water, but also anything, bait fish, crawdads, whatever's active in that area, that water temperature will warm all the life up in there.
Keeper is good on a day like today, any of the days, in fact, on Smith Lake here. Mark Tucker is playing with found money, more or less, because previously in Alabama, his best finish has been 69th place.
Yeah, but this tournament sort of plays in his hand. Mark's a jig fisherman, a spotted bass fisherman. You've got to both combine. He loves to fish slow, and, buddy, you really got to slow down here.
He fishes exclusively with the jig, so he has a lot of very definite thoughts about the technique.
You have to parachute the jig off the ledge. And what I mean by that is once you get down and feel the ledge, I keep the rod tip at midnight, 12 o'clock straight up. And once I pull it off that ledge and I let it start sinking, I may engage my reel and let some line out. But as I know the jig's falling, I just slightly lift up on the rod tip. That way, if anything comes off that ledge and sucks it in, you know it immediately. Because a lot of times they'll come off of it if you're not paying attention. They'll suck it in and spit it out before you ever know it. So the key is you want to shake the jig in one spot. You don't want to move it, but you want to shake it so the minute you feel the slightest tension on it, you set the hook.
Again, Mark Tucker fishing about 5 miles up Rock Creek. Now, Charlie Weir is in the same creek, but he's only about a half mile off the main river being what they call a Sipsey Fork of the Warrior River.
Smith Lake's probably one of the prettiest lakes I've ever fished in the country. Plus, I like it because it looks a lot like Lake Shasta and Lake Oroville. Deep water impoundment, clear water. Lots of big spotted bass. Fish the way I like to fish, fishing deep. I could be wrong, but he feels big. He's gone.
All right, it looks like it's on right now with Charlie Weir. And I tell you what, Marty Stone, once you hook up with one of these big spotted bass on that tiny little light line, your work is far from over, right?
Boy, spotted bass, they will drag you all over the lake, all over the boat. They do not want to give up. It's an awesome fish.
All right, when you hook a fish that deep, too, there are other problems that come into play, right?
Oh, yeah. You got the line stretch. You know, you hope you don't have a little nick because you're using that sewing thread of line. It's nerve-wracking, absolutely nerve-wracking.
Takes a lot of skill with that spinning tackle there. And these guys out west, I mean, they can fish their whole season and never have that spinning tackle out of their hand. That's got to give them an advantage in a situation like this, right?
You know, they're talking about fishing 30 and 40 foot deep. To a lot of those guys out west, this is shallow. They brought the drop shot to us, and they're used to fishing 60, 80 foot, some of them ridiculous depths.
Well, knowing all that, Marty, we have to give some respect to Edwin Evers, keeping up with these deep water specialists. And, Jerry, I know you have some questions for Edwin.
Evers is not fishing in a ridiculous depth, I guarantee you that. Edwin, is this not the most challenging event you have ever been associated with?
I tell you, it is. I'm amazed that I'm fishing today. It's a blessing because I'm telling you, I didn't have very good practice. I was telling a guy last night I practiced deep the whole tournament, you know, and I can fish deep, but I don't really like to do it if I don't have to. And I started out the first 45 minutes that morning fishing deep, where I'd caught one of my 4 keepers in practice, and I was like, man, let's go fishing. And I picked up a crankbait, and very first cast, I lost one, and I hadn't had a bite all practice on a crankbait. And I lost one, and I hadn't put it down really since.
Well, Edwin, are you doing anything at all with your crankbait that maybe somebody else is not doing?
Well, I'm using fluorocarbon line, that XPS fluorocarbon line, and it's getting the bait a lot deeper. And I'm using a 5:2-to-1 gear ratio reel. And, you know, a lot of people try to reel slow, but, you know, when you use a 5:2-to-1 reel, you can reel even slower. And I'm just reeling it real slow, and I stop and pause it, and I think that might be what, you know, why I'm catching some and some other people might not have.
Edwin Evers sharing some of his techniques with us there, and they must be working. Look at him as we look at our leaderboard. He's now tied Mark Tucker for the lead at 26 pounds. Also, Lee Bailey Jr. is now ounces behind Charlie Weir. And Gerald Swindle, Well, he is still without a keeper. And he is still without a keeper.
Man. Rookie mistake there. On every dock, dude. Just a matter of getting lucky catching some big ones.
Oh, it can be a tough business. When we come back, Marty Stone's going to recap his victory down at the Harris Chain of Lakes. We'll take a look at his big fish. There it is right there. And we'll watch Charlie Weir see if he can get himself back into the lead. Second tournament of the season on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour presented by Busch Beer. And for the second time in a row, you could not see any daylight between the top contenders on the final day. Take a look at the leaderboard. Right now, Edwin Evers and Mark Tucker tied at the top at 26 pounds. But it has been a weird week, a wild week. The first day of our event saw more than 6 inches of rainfall, and the pros definitely hurrying to the weigh-in stage. 60 professional anglers did not weigh in a fish on that day, and only 2 limits brought in. Greg Hackney topped the field with a limit of largemouth, including this 4.5-pounder. Day 2, Charlie Weir climbing from 9th to 2nd place, and hometown favorite Gerald Swindle restoring some pride, jumping from 67th all the way to 8th.
I didn't fish very well yesterday. I made some adjustments today. Mainly, I just pulled my panties up and fished like a man, you know.
Well, it was a 6-pound, 11-ounce spotted bass caught by Mark Tucker that was the Purelator Big Bass of the day and will probably be the Purelator Big Bass of the tournament. Day number 3, the amateur winner was crowned Mike Bagwell. Jasper, Alabama, takes home $36K for 17 pounds, 5 ounces of bass. The third day is also the first cut to 12. Amazingly, 2 rookies, both from Arkansas, anchoring the 11th and 12th places. Scott Suggs didn't make the top 6, but he tops the Citgo Angler of the Year race after 2 events.
Even though I didn't catch him today, being able to catch him yesterday like I did and to make this cut again and to give me an opportunity to even be here was, exciting for me. I never expected anything like this to happen coming into this season.
All right, that was Scott Suggs. Again, this is Marty Stone, the man who won it on Harris Chain last time. And, Jerry, I know you agree with me. That's one of the best tournaments we have seen in almost forever.
A lot of excitement. Marty would agree with that, too. But you know what? We just got finished talking to Edwin Evers, and he's talking about having a terrible practice. He may win this event. You tell me you had a bad practice before Harris Chain.
I had.
Yeah, how does that happen?
Awful practice. I just wasn't dialed in on the fish. 6 to 8 pounds, I figured it'd be a tough day. 10 pounds would have been a phenomenal day. First 45 minutes of the tournament, I've got about 15. It just sort of happened.
Take us through how it came to you where these fish were at.
The last day of practice, I got a couple of bites on the outside edge of Kissimmee grass, and I noticed they were dead on the bottom, but it was sort of a finesse flipping type deal. And then I expanded on that the first morning of the tournament. The next thing you know, it just really opened up to me. I saw how the fish were positioned, and I got dialed in a hurry.
It actually started moving, at least for you, started moving from that outside line into the shallow water.
They really did, and I had fresh fish coming the whole time. Outside edge, a little bit in, and I got fish that were spawning out there. I got fish that were staging out there. I was fishing for a lot of different groups. Sort of changed up on me about the third day.
I want to show you, I'm going to go out on the limb here, Marty. I want to show you again, the most important cast of your life is about to come up against that one little lily pad. Go,
Jerry,
Mark.
the neat thing about that is I'd run completely by that place. I'd been fishing the inside edge, and I was getting ready to move, and I run the boat by, and I saw that inside edge there, and I stopped, and there it goes.
Was that the most important time you ever threw a spinnerbait around the lily pad?
Without a doubt. I still see that fish in my dreams every night. You know, you live for the moment that you can make the one cast, catch the one fish that you can win a Bassmaster tournament.
And did you think you won?
Right then, I thought I had a chance. But then I realized, hey, you're 4 pounds back, and this lake is full of big fish. And I was like, you got to have one more of those, and then you really got a chance.
Because you're probably anticipating that everybody's catching them like that.
You know, if I'm catching them, I'm assuming everybody else is. And the neat deal was there at the weigh-in when they were staging us, all the media was around Chapman, they were around Rook, they were around Iaconelli. I'm sitting over there in the boat all by myself. No one's showing me any love whatsoever. And I'm trying to draw a positive, and the next thing you know, it caught me off guard.
Oh, well, that's great. And we're going to have to move, though, from Harris Chain back out to Smith Lake. And Charlie Weir is just about to catch his first keeper of the day.
I got one. I don't believe it. I got a keeper. Oh, it's a big one, too.
Hey, I want to point out again how well Charlie is handling these fish on this spinning equipment.
He's calming down.
Never lets the rod tip get too low.
Oh, yeah.
Never points his tip at the fish. And he makes sure that the fish puts pressure on the rod.
God.
No pressure on the reel or the line.
It's a 3.5 pounder. Oh my God, please stay on, baby. Please stay on, baby. Oh my God, this fish is huge. He's not a giant, but please stay on, please stay on. Please stay on. Please stay on. Please stay on, baby. Woo! Yeah! Woo! I got one. That's a keeper, baby. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't believe it. Oh my God. Oh my God, I don't believe it. I got one. Oh, that's money. Oh my God. That fish will go 17 or 16.5 inches. Unbelievable. Oh my golly. Can you believe it? Finally.
We're back in the lead, the whopping 10-ounce lead. But remember, now this, no one has held the lead 2 days in a row all year long. And we're going to catch up with Lee Bailey Jr. and also Rick Morris when we return. And what will it take to get Swindle back in the race? All will be revealed. Don't go anywhere.
But you just got to work, work, work. When you think you can't work no more, you got to hit a pier. You got to work a little more. Then it's just like nothing comes easy. If you want it, it's just like it's sitting out there going, come and get it, but you're going to have to earn it. So, I don't know. Kind of reach down, pull your panties up, and get after it.
Bassmaster Tour on Alabama's Smith Lake. As you can see, definitely one of our Clearwater locations on the tour this year. And now let's take a look at the leaderboard. And there you see another tight race, about as tight as it can be, just like last week, except for Gerald Swindle and Rick Morris, the two guys still needing a score.
Well, it looks like to me that the guys on the deep fish are going to prevail and win this tournament. It's going to be deep fish that win, I think. I mean, Evers is not fishing that deep. But I predict that Lee Bailey or probably Tucker is going to catch the bag today. If this water temperature wasn't so cold, it'd probably be one shallow. It almost was.
Some thoughts from Rick Morris, and now over to Charlie Weir, who's fishing deep.
It takes forever to get down there. It probably takes like 10 seconds to get down the bottom in 45, 50 feet of water. Fred head's just a round lead head, painted lead head brown with a 3-aught hook in it. And I'm rigging the worm Texas rig on it so I can shake it through the trees and not get stuck, because if you have an exposed hook, you'll never be able to shake it up through the trees.
Well, there he is, Rick Morris's pick, Mark Tucker. What do you think about his philosophy? What do you think, Marty, just sticking with one jig the whole tournament, in fact, everywhere he goes?
Most of the time, that's not a good idea. But a jig, unlike other lures, if you get on the right pattern, right fish, you can win anywhere you go in this country. And that's what Mark does. He swings for the fence everywhere he goes.
Earlier, we saw him catch that really good fish. He was so bundled up, though, with all the gloves on, the several different layers. And this is a real finesse situation where you've really got to be in touch with that line and that jig down at the bottom, way down there 30 feet down. That's hard to do when you're all gotten up like that, bundled up.
It's a specialty technique, and you don't learn it the day of the tournament. You can tell Mark's done this for years and years.
You lose any fish on the first 2 days?
I lost about a 3-pounder the second day of the tournament. I got her up to the gunnel, and I swung her over the side of the boat. She stayed on the gunnel 10 foot down the boat and then just went back in the water.
All right, looks like it's going to be a keeper this time for Mark Tucker.
Oh, Daddy, another keeper, baby.
Oh, yeah, baby. This is the tournament right here. This is a giant. Get out of the tree. Get out of the tree.
Well, if Charlie Weir can make this fish work, he can really put the pressure on the field.
And push that dock away, and I caught a fish. I don't believe it. There's the big one. Oh, got that brush. Don't get in that brush. It's real shallow. It's only 20 feet right here. I can't believe I got that fish out of that tree. Oh my God, that's a 3.5, 4. Oh, don't stay down, stay down, stay down. Oh, I just won the tournament. I just won the tournament right here. Oh my God, I got a monster spot. Don't jump, don't jump, don't come off. I got a 4-pounder right here. Oh my God. Don't come off, baby, don't come off. Oh my God, don't come off. Oh man, this is a $200,000 fish right here. Stay hooked, baby, stay hooked. Come on, come on. Come on, you're barely hooked. Yeah! Woo! That's a $100,000 fish right there. Oh my God. My God, I don't believe it. That's what, oh my Lord. Now I got it. Oh, I just won the tournament. I know I just won the tournament. Woo!
Charlie, hold on there a little bit. Don't be counting those eggs. Hey, I want to look at his place back in this pocket. In the sweet spot is actually 30, 35 feet deep in some brush under a dock that has broken loose due to the high water. It is broken loose and it swings out over the place that he wants to fish. So he gets his boat up against it and pushes it out of the way. And that is perfectly legal to do that. The weather hurt most of the field. Charlie thinks it really did help him.
As soon as we started getting a little rain, the water temperature rose probably 1.5 to 2 degrees up into the creeks. They're not long creeks, they're shorter creeks, and there's a lot of runoff water. It makes the water a little bit warmer there. And these bass started to come off those bluffs. These spotted bass come off the bluffs and they go up into the creeks and start pre-staging because the water, I mean, it takes 52 to 55 degrees and the fish will come up to spawn. They'll spawn as deep as 20 feet, spotted bass will. So these fish are starting to gang up in these creek channels where all the runoff, it's a little bit warmer. Plus there's a lot of food. The shad are coming up in there. It's a little bit warmer with the shad coming up in there. And a lot of bait fish and worms and stuff are coming in those creeks. So those fish are starting to gather up in there. And a few of those fish I caught were females, big females, and they're starting to come up and stage in 25 to 40 feet of water. And when you get this kind of situation going on, you could set, a lot of times, like on the west, we fish uphill. A lot of guys cast in the creeks, and you can catch them, but I like to put my boat closer to the bank and cast uphill. When the fish are in a pre-spawn stage, they're more aggressive to eat a bait if it's coming uphill.
Uh-oh. Well, as we watch Edwin Evers, Marty Stone, we just saw Charlie doing what Jerry was talking about earlier, moving that boat dock out of the way. And again, that's one that's come loose from its cable. So that's perfectly legal, according to tournament director Trip Weldon. But you always have to kind of check, don't you?
You do. You got to make sure you're within that little gray area. And he was perfectly fine with that.
And of course, you've got situations like that every time you go out. You got logs that you may or may not have to get around some way or another. You just have to stay on top of it all the time.
I'm going to pretend that was a little bitty one and it didn't matter anyway that I missed him.
Now, these guys are really having the coldest weather of the week right now. How did it affect you? Would you have done anything different during the first 2 days when you fished in this tournament?
You know, the second day, I figured out the run-in deal about 10 o'clock in the morning. The biggest thing that I didn't do was cover enough water. I got caught up in 4 or 5 little places. I should have ran some new water.
It's kind of hard to bring yourself to get that bass boat up to 60 miles an hour when you got 20 degrees of temperature out there. You got guys that really don't want to cover as much as they normally would during a regular tournament.
And you factor in the deal, these fish are lethargic, and you're scared that you're going to fish right through a group of them. You don't know really when to move.
Well, Lee Bailey with the largemouth there. I tell you what, a couple more big fish like that, and he could be right on top of things. But Charlie Weir, as we look at the leaderboard, really did himself a whole lot of good with that big fish we just saw him catch just a few minutes ago. He's in the lead by 2 pounds, and I tell you what, he's sitting on it. Can he hang on to it? We're going to find out if the others can catch him. And you'll never believe what he does in his real job, his day job. That's all coming up. Man on a mission, best burgers in the county. There's your scoreboard. We still need something from Rick Morris.
There he is. Yes! Go hit the cameraman with him. Is he 16 inches? Please, please, we got 10 minutes to go. Please be 16 inches so we can go to the show. Huh? I think he's gonna make it. Oh no, he's right on the money.
Good deal. Rick Morris on the board. You know, these guys work so hard, and going to that weigh-in stand skunked is one of the worst things you can go through. Remember, though, these guys on today's fishing, the final 6, they beat 144 pros to get here. All right, now you're never going to believe what our leader, Charlie Weir, does when he's not fishing, although definitely he's happiest when he is fishing.
Right now, I want to be the top of the Bassmaster Tour event at Smith Lake, Alabama is where I want to be. I want to win this really bad. I want to hear my wife scream until I can't hear anymore, like last night when I told her I was in the lead. She was going crazy last night. Well, amateur partners, they started calling me Hollywood because I work in Hollywood, California. I work in the film industry, and I do the craft service on the movie sets. I do the banquet spreads of food for the cast and crew, and I take care of all the actors and the crew on the movie sets. Hollywood's great. I've been doing it for almost 15 years. This is my 15th year doing working the craft service. But I've always wanted to fish professionally, and I'm getting my chance to do it. Actually, when I was working on Charlie's Angels 2 last year, Full Throttle, I went into for the job interview, and I asked my boss, I told him I need these 2 weeks off. The other 2 weeks for the opens, they do not conflict. But these 2 I have to take off. And he said, no problem. My wife came in and worked for me. She also works in the film industry. And I was able to fish all 4 events and qualify for the tour, fishing all 4 events. I fished prior, 2 out of the last 3 years prior to that. And I wasn't able to qualify because I could only fish 2 events. It really conflicted with my work. And I told my wife, this year I have to do it. There's one, baby. Yeah, I won this tournament right here, baby. It's over. Tournament's done. Oh my God, that's a big one. That is a really, really big fish. That's bigger than the last one. I can't believe I got him out of the bushes. Oh my God, I got another one too. Oh my God, I don't believe it. If I catch this one, I'll leave. Oh my God, another horse. I think he's bigger than the other one. Oh my God. Oh, he's way bigger. Oh my God. Maybe not. I'm just excited. Stay hooked, stay hooked, stay hooked, stay hooked. It's a good one. It's a 16-inch spot. It's a 16-inch spot. It's coming to the boat. Yeah! Woo! Yeah! I don't believe I just caught. Look at that. Whoa! Oh my God. V16, baby, I'm pretty sure she is. Oh my God. Look at that, I don't believe it. 17 inches long. Oh my God, maybe I'll catch one more. Oh yeah.
The highs of Charlie Weir are high and the lows of Gerald Swindle are low. Let me assure you, though, Gerald is one of our superstars, and he's just had one of those days so far. And speaking of stars, before we head to the weigh-in, let's check on our classic winner, Mike Iaconelli.
14 pounds, 11 ounces. That's more weight than I caught on the last day of the Classic. The Top Rod Classic Trophy, my first big victory, and I won it right here in this Coleman Crawdaddy 12-foot John boat. It's awesome to look back and reflect on it, you know. I want it to be like Denny Brower. I want it to be like Gary Klein. I wanted to have a bass boat like those guys, but I didn't have the money to have that. So I fashioned my own little mini bass boat. Front deck, back deck, pedestal seats, live wells, dual live wells, trolling motor on the front and back, rod holders, I mean, everything. Bigfoot, foot switch, everything that a mini bass pro could want at that stage of his career. To jump into this career, or to just try to turn pro overnight, is the wrong thing to do. The only real way to do it, to become a great angler in the sport, is to work your way up through the steps. So I really think you need to crawl before you can walk. And that's really what buying a small John boat did for me in my career. The Coleman Crawdaddy.
Well, the fishing is over, and we've seen all the fish, and we know now what the Purelator Big Bass of the tournament was. It was this 6-pound 11-ouncer by Mark Tucker. Well, so far today, Charlie Weir has also given us some world-class reaction shots, but the most important reaction of the day is coming up when his fish hit the weigh-in stand. That's on.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo. And in part by Bush. By Skeeter. And by Berkeley Tri-League.
This is the second stop with the Citgo Bassmasters this season, and right now, 6 anglers left. Let's bring in the first angler. Shall we do this thing? Where is he from? Virginia, this is Rick Morris. There you go, there's one. Woo! 1 pound, 14 ounces today, 114, a big payday coming.
You know, the biggest thing about fishing this lake that I learned is being able to adapt, because the weather around here changes really fast.
Welcome, Gerald Swindle! Gerald, Smith Lake shows up on the schedule with BASS this season. I know that excited you.
You know, I was excited to see it on the schedule, but, you know, deep in your mind, you start thinking, oh, God, that's the hometown pressure. And we'd always laugh about it, you know, shaking that hometown monkey. And I knew when I seen it on the schedule that it would be an accomplishment not to zero every day and to catch them. So the one part of you really excited. You're like, woo-hoo, coming home. And then you start thinking, boy, if I suck there, I'm really going to get ragged.
From Connecticut, this is Lee Bailey Jr. There you go. 4 pounds and 1 ounce, 4-1.
You make the top 6, there's only one thing left to do, and that's try to win the tournament. And, you know, sometimes you just can't figure it out.
This is Mark Tucker. He just needs about 3 pounds and 11 ounces to the scales. Got it, 5 pounds, 2 ounces, 5-2.
I prayed every night that the muddy water would stay away, and it did till this morning. Now I'm getting nervous.
I hope so. Go over there and grab that stool.
Thank you, fish.
There you go. Tucker in the lead.
I got some fish in the live well. I don't know if it's enough to take it over. I had a little tougher time today. There's one.
Purelator Big Bass right now with Tucker 213. Tucker, will that make 213? Nope, he says not a chance. 2 pounds, 7 ounces today. Tucker's going to hold the lead right now.
Congratulations to Tucker. He's a great fisherman and a great friend of mine. Let's give it up for your #1 qualifier, Mr. Charlie Weir, ladies and gentlemen.
3:13 to tie.
It's going to be close. That's going to be real fish.
That won't do it.
Wow. See what these 2 fish weigh.
Here he comes.
And then we'll go get the 3rd one, because there's 3 in here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a new winner on tour.
Looking at 3:14 for the championship. Your champion, 8 pounds of bass. Charlie, congratulations. There you go, Jasper, Alabama. The Purelator Big Bass for an additional $1,000, 3 pounds and 12 ounces.
This place is unbelievable. It fishes just like our California lakes. We can catch them deep. I love fishing deep. This place is just incredible. Look at the fans. I've never seen this many people at an event in my life. This is awesome. You guys are awesome.
Your champion, Charlie Weir, Jasper, Alabama.
Hey, the big award goes to Charlie Weir. Forget about Hollywood. The star today is definitely Charlie. Congratulations to him. A quick look at our Citgo Angler of the Year race. And as we learned earlier in the program, it's Scott Suggs of Arkansas in first place, also topping the Rookie of the Year race as well. And in the battle for the Bush Shootout, the battle of the Bush Heavyweights, where we take a big bag from each day of competition and the top 10 from the year get into that race. Well, hey, check it out. Greg Hackney from this tournament actually breaks into the top 3. And I know we need to catch up on the Elite 50 as well, Jerry.
The Elite 50 takes the top 20 money winners of all time, and there was actually no changes in that list. No changes in the names. Some of the figures changed a little bit, but the same 20 guys. The points list is where we're really having a lot of fun right now. Bud Pruitt, Evers, Kelly Jordan, Chapman, they're still at the top of the list. But Marty, you'll be glad to know that in 30 is Marty Stone. And you know, you're on the bubble there, but you've come from a long way out.
Boy, Jerry, at the beginning of the year, I didn't think I had a chance, but I thought I was light years away. Now I do. and I'm excited. I mean, that's a neat deal. We're going to give away a lot of money down to the best 50 in the country. I want to be a part of that.
You need to be there.
All right. Well, Marty, I know it's the hard work that's gotten you the great results this year. What about next week? It's going to take some hard work to get into that Guntersville top 6 as well, right?
Boy, Guntersville, that's going to be a deal that's all about weather. If we got this cool weather that's been over Alabama for so long, very few bites, but there's going to be some monster fish. If it warms up a little bit, we're going to scare people what we're fixing to bring to the scales.
All right, watch the weather at Guntersville. Watch this guy at Guntersville. He's Jerry McKinnis. I'm Tommy Sanders. We'll see you next time on the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail.
Oh. Look at that. Whoa!
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.